Sometimes when you see the policies this administration follows, you can be forgiven for thinking that they don't think climate change is as big a deal as they would have you believe. Take EVs, for example. The basic problem with EVs is that they're not cheap enough. Yes, I get that Tesla owners love their cars, but everyone I know who owns a Tesla, or a Rivian for that matter, has another car. They don't want to rely on them for long journeys. Charging is inconvenient. EVs need charging much more often than a regular car needs a fill-up, and it takes longer. This is inconvenient, so they need to be cheaper to get those of us not trying to make a statement to buy one. China produces very cheap EVs. Maybe they're too cheap. Maybe they're subsidized by the government. But it seems to me that if it is vital to get transportation electrified, if the planet and humanity's future depend on this, it might be smart to let cheap Chinese EVs into the country. But instead we're imposing huge tariffs on them so that Americans have to pay more for EVs than they ought to in order to support domestic manufacturers. So getting people to buy more EVs is important, but not enough to overcome tariffs, which are just a tax anyway. It's the same with solar panels. The government wants more rooftop solar, but doesn't feel so strongly about it that they'll allow them to be available cheaply. A few months ago, the White House imposed a pause on approvals of new LNG export terminals. If it's prolonged, this will deny foreign buyers the opportunity to reduce their coal consumption in favor of natural gas, which produces less CO2 and far less pollution. The LNG pause allowed Joe Biden to claim that he was concerned about climate change, even when policies on EVs and solar panels suggest that it's not that big a concern. So if the White House is willing to slow the adoption of EVs in the US to impede access to cheap solar panels and to stop cheap natural gas helping Asian countries reduce coal consumption, then they're not leading on the issue. They're just selectively taking a position that will appeal to small segments of the electorate. There's no strategy, just a series of calculated tactical moves. You've got New York banning gas lines for new homes, forcing people to rely more on electricity, and power prices are going up because as solar and wind make up a bigger percentage of power generation, the system operates less efficiently. Weather-dependent electricity delivered 20 to 35% of the time. So we'll wind up with more redundancy in the system. It's partly why households are paying more for electricity. So if the government adopts policies intended to make us more dependent on electricity, they ought to at the same time avoid making it more expensive. Unless the White House strategy is to pretend there's a climate emergency while making short-term election year choices that don't help. If you're interested in learning more about the energy sector and interest rates, then don't forget to subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Our handles are in the description box below. To find out more about what we're thinking, you can sign up for our twice-weekly blog at sl-advisors.com. We always love to hear from you, so if you have any comments or blog ideas, please leave them down below. I'm Simon Lack. Thank you for watching this video.